first of all, good morning, guys. How is everything? Good? Very good. Thank you for coming for the conference. I'm really excited to be here. Hopefully we'll have a chance also to chat. So I'm excited to hear about your issues related with security, because that's what I do. Couple of words for the intro. And what's the keynote going to be about? Well, keynote's going to be about all the interesting ways how we are able to think like a hacker in order to get an appropriate approach for the company in order to secure it. If it's about myself, Card already mentioned me, but what I do for a living, I'm a penetration tester, even though, and you don't need to admit, I don't look like one. But technically, what I also do, besides the technical stuff, which is my obviously favorite, and I'm doing this for the past 13 years, is doing the social engineering tests, which luckily and not very surprisingly, they always work. Yes, I do have also access to the source code of Windows. And this is something that makes well, myself and our team to be a little bit more geeky within the security. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not really helpful, so it depends really on the situation. And from the company perspective, I'm the owner of the company that is called Secure. Right now, we are starting the new project, which is called secureacademy.com. We've got 4 locations. It sounds super proudly, because we are based in New York, in Switzerland, in Poland, and in Dubai. But effectively, we are just a small group of people that are absolute geeks. So that's pretty much who I am. If it's about a little bit of a speaking, I do speak at the different types of conferences, including, for example, Ignite. I'm just back from the last week Ignite for the last year. But last year, basically, I was rated a #1 Ignite speaker in Chicago. But that really proves one thing, not that I'm a good speaker, but that proves that security is a very important subject. And that is something that I really care about. Anyway, a little bit of agenda. We will talk about security awareness idea at the very beginning, users idea, security awareness idea, and then a little bit regarding the access control. And I would like to show you a bunch of examples how hackers act and what can we do in order to prevent that, and that will be a matter of a discussion. If you've been on my presentations, you know that they are extremely technical always, and I really like to do the hardcore stuff from the techie perspective. This time you can relax a little bit. There will be no hacking for the next 60 minutes, maybe for the 30 minutes. Yes, so that's something that we will be playing with. Anyway, let's move on. Whenever we are thinking about security awareness, well, there's a bunch of things we should pay attention to, yes? And one thing is awareness. And what we understand by awareness, it's obviously being aware how the threat looks like. And even though what you may see on the slide might seem to be a little bit simple, though practice shows that whenever we get into different kinds of companies, people are not aware. And I'm not talking about the IT pros or developers here. I'm talking more about the regular, as we call them in IT, users, technically employees, yes, that are not really aware how the threat looks like. So they never seen a threat in that of a kind. That's why they're vulnerable to that. Before we move on to behavior, here comes a little story. The story is actually quite nice because this is the story with one of our favorite customers that are in a finance world. And what was the situation is that I'm supposed to do the social engineering test. So my job is to get inside the company. So the story is like this. Basically, there is a building, and that particular customer is spread across certain floors. Yeah, let's say it's going to be 6, 7, and 8. When I go in front of the building, I see an announcement that this customer is placed on the floor number 8. So obviously, what is on the floor number 8? It's a reception. So someone's going to welcome me, hi Paula, please sign up to the book, and so on. There is a camera or whatever. So this is definitely the place that I don't want to go to in order to get access to this company. So when I'm standing in front of the building, there is this door, it's locked, and I have 3 ways of entering. 1, calling them. Yes, this is very easy, and there's this camera thing, and I don't want to do that. Yes. Second thing, I've got a card, but I don't. And the third thing, I'm able to put the PIN, but I still don't know it. So simple thing, yes, very simple thing. And I'm doing something that we do every day, and this is called tailgating, which means that I just find a nice guy or whatever, and I stick to his back, and basically we go together through the door because he's got a card. Now, I'm into the stage number 2. So stage number 2, it's an elevator place. And the elevator place is kind of cool because there is one of these strange elevators that I'm sure you've seen, that there is like a pad in the middle, and then you press which floor you want to go to, and it says it's A or B or C or D or whatever. So there were like 2 elevators, and basically, because I don't have a way to get upstairs, I'm waiting for someone to put the floor number. And of course, like putting the whole story a little bit more real, making the story real, I'm taking the backpack and I'm like searching for all the stuff inside because I'm a woman, and using that beautiful stereotype, it's great because I'm at the same time when I'm doing this, obviously we don't know where things are in our bags, and our bags are cool and big, and where's my phone is ringing, and that takes like 2 minutes before I find it. Yeah, so this is nice to use that, and effectively I'm looking at which floor who presses. And there's this guy that comes in, and this guy is actually, and the reason why I'm saying guy is because, I'm sorry, that's the best situation I could be in. If I would be with a woman in an elevator, that's kind of not cool, but when I'm with a guy, we can have a little chat, and he will be like probably smiling a little bit, and if not, I'm gonna make him smile in a way, so that's the point. So there is this guy, and he presses the floor number 6. So the door opens, lovely. So what I do, I jump in immediately to the elevator to the back side of it. Now, question to you guys is, why am I in the back side of the elevator right now? What do you think? Shut out. Huh? Tell me.
So he doesn't know which way you're going?
He doesn't know which way I'm going. Could make sense, absolutely. Yes, so he doesn't kind of see me. Yeah, let's don't forget that I'm going to flirt with him a little bit. Yeah, so, yeah, okay, anyway. What's the next suggestion?
Everyone is facing the door. Step into the elevator, so he'll have his back.
So I see his back, so he's facing the door. This is actually a good point. We're getting closer to what I'm going to do, yes? So let me tell you. Basically, we had this little chat, and it was actually quite funny because now you're going to think I'm weird, but this was the thing that I've noticed. He had a very nice, like, perfumes, yes? So I was like, very cool. And basically, the reason why I was like, very nice perfumes and so on, because really, when I, like, smell this, do you know the smell of a new hard drive? It's a kind of, like, techie a little bit. So I was like, very cool perfume. And he was like, oh, really? And there was this nice chat. So basically, when we get into the 6th floor, the door opens, and this guy takes his card, and then he does peek, goes out first, opens the door, and he says, ladies first. Yes, that was the point. So that's why I was in the back, so that I'm not the one like waiting and pretending, oh, I've forgotten the card or something, because this is something very artificial, yes? So he's like there, we're on the same floor. I mean, we don't have to know each other, it's a big company. Yes, so this is what I was counting on. And I was like, thanks so much, have a good day, and so on. And following up the story, yes, and to finish it really, what I did, I jumped into traders' desks, because this was a finance company, so they were trading different kinds of resources. So when they traders, they finish up the lunch, they earned like just a couple of millions of dollars. They're like, oh, we deserve a good lunch. A couple of people stand up, they go out, and the rows of desktops are there, and they are obviously not locked, because these people, they don't care about locking the desktop, because the finance is the most important thing. Try setting up the policy so the desktop's going to be locked within the 15 minutes. They're going to like kill you, really. So this is the finance world. They are the most important people. This is their core business, and they can complain, and IT needs to kind of adjust because they earn money, yes? So perfect situation. But you know what? And this is also a nice thing here, that people don't ask questions. Nobody really asks me in this company, what am I doing there? Like, hey, you don't have an ID or something. Yes, nobody really asked me that, because people don't want to be rude. They don't want to be like, oh, I don't know, it's the first time I see you, who you are working with. Nobody really did that. Especially, I was like, everybody was so nice to me. Hi, how are you doing? Yes, nice to see you again. Really? Like, that's kind of a interesting business discussions. But anyway, I was sitting on the laptop on one of the guys, and I decided to provoke. That's what I really love to do. So I was like yoing on the chair, like, "Wah," yeah, like this, and people saw me, and I was like, what kind of rude girl is sitting over here? But nobody still asked me what am I doing over here. And I was like waving to people, like behaving like an idiot there. Still nobody asked me, what am I doing over there? And especially, I mean, I know John. This is John's desk. What is she doing over there? And I behave like I know what I'm doing. So my pause really distracted people, and they didn't really ask me, what am I doing? Because I kind of look like I belong there. So this is what I mean by awareness. Nobody knows how the threat looks like if they didn't see it before. Yes? And especially, and again, I'm really sorry, I hate saying this, but I don't look like a thief. I don't look like a thief at all. Yes? So probably the thief will be wearing like the black hoodie or something, yes? That's the stereotype of a person. For sure, a guy, like black or maybe not very good looking or something. So this is the kind of stereotype that people have in their hand. They don't imagine how the threat looks like. Anyway, behavior. Behavior is the second thing that I would like to talk about. That is obviously acting. So within the social engineering test that I was doing, there was this girl in the human resources department. She was like on quite a high position. Her name was Wendy. And I described her as a typical New Jersey look, like from the Dynasty, like the curly hair and like makeup and so on. So beautiful, like really taken care of. And so here comes Wendy. Basically, what I did, I took a pen drive. This is one of my favorite tests. And I was like, hi, I don't want to disturb you, but I'm passing by, and I see that you have a printer in your office. It would be lovely if you could just print out me a boarding pass, because I'm flying to Dallas. I was really flying to Dallas, actually. So this is the boarding pass. It's real. But what I did, and again, cheap stuff, but it unfortunately works. I took this PDF, I wrapped it into an executable. It's an unsigned executable. Wendy, it's a local administrator. I mean, seriously, what else it's needed, yes? So I came and I was like, oh, come on, I'm new. I mean, I don't know computers. I'm absolutely not familiar with them. I don't want to humiliate myself asking people around. Maybe you can help me. You look nice. So I kind of see this female friendship. And by the way, very cool makeup. What kind of mascara is this? She's bought. She's sold out already, yes? And she was like, oh, that actually reminds me that I have to correct my eye makeup. Just do it for yourself. I'm like, are you sure that I'm allowed to put the USB stick in your computer? She's like, yeah, go ahead, girl. So this was the situation, yes? So this is behavior that, of course, needs to be related strongly with awareness. She wasn't aware, so she didn't act. And the last thing, it's a culture. And culture is something that we always say in our team that we've got in our hearts. Heads, of course, because we need to understand what do we protect. But the second thing is, when I stand up, it's in my heart that I just lock the desktop. When I'm already here, I really feel absolutely not comfortable. Is Jeff doing something with my laptop right now? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't see it. Yeah? So basically, this is something that we've got in our heart. And people need to understand it within the organizations. And I'm talking here about our employees. And at the same time, I'm not a fan of saying that humans are the weakest part of the security chain. I'm not a fan of this because we've got all the different firewalls, anti-malware solutions, anti-execution prevention solutions, things like that. And then at the end of that, we've got a human. I mean, technology and human, that's kind of human is not a technology. And we tend to say it's the weakest link, but our job is actually to make infrastructure not to be prone to those people that were never educated to support us in security. Can you imagine people from the accounting department being specialists on security? Please do not, yes? So this is the setup. Anyway, okay, little analogy. Of course, awareness comes with experience, and at the end, behavior comes with awareness. So if we don't know what does it mean to speed, we don't understand, we don't imagine, because we have everything on paper, we never experience this, then we can have a problem. And at the very, very end, what is pretty interesting is that from the stats perspective, Yes, as we see, 14.4 incidents per year are related with some data loss because people are not aware. Yes, but there are more statistics of that kind. So uneducated employees bring us a problem, and that's the culture because, for example, from the management perspective, there were no security awareness trainings introduced in companies. That would be helpful for us to manage infrastructure. So from the stats perspective, again, and what is interesting, actually all of those numbers are interesting, but I find the most interesting the one that says 87%, and that represents the value of policies, percent of the security policies, where security awareness trainings were not included. So how these poor people are able to recognize that there is a danger coming. From the techie perspective, not to mention, for example, situation where Microsoft, when you by default deploy operating system, the extensions of the files are hidden. Yes, I find this horrible. How these poor people are able to recognize that there is a danger out there when we've got a pdf.exe. Maybe they could if they learned. Yes, that's the point. So this is something that I would love to start with. Now, if it's about security awareness scenarios, I would like to talk about the 7 steps that are quite important within the organization in order to implement security. And here comes the first one, which we call a pathetic passwords. Now, this is quite easy, but let me tell you this way. I was delivering the security awareness session for one of the companies, and this was for the managers group. So from one side, the worst, we could say, from the geeky side, the worst, but from the presentation side, the best, because these are the guys that are making decisions, so pictures are the ones that speak to them. So when I was actually delivering this was the first slide that I had displayed when people were entering the room. And one of the guys that entered, he was like, oh my God, like this. I was like, are you fine? And he was like, how did you get my password? Somehow I did, yes? Which one was this? Password 1, I'm sorry, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something? Yes, so this was a perfect start for the training like this, yes? And pathetic passwords not only apply to users, yes? They also apply to administrators. And my point over here is actually very clear. When we deliver the penetration tests, what we see, it's usually a good practice implemented where administrators have different types of accounts for different things. Obviously, yes, we've got a lot of things to manage. So we've got, for example, an account to manage network equipment, but we've got also stuff to manage operating systems in the administrative way, also from the user perspective way, and so on. The problem is that there are so many passwords out there that administrators are the worst, kind of, because they start to reuse them. And having the regular user and, for example, domain admin or some other administrative account using the same password happens quite often, yes? If you say no, perfect, yes? But think about your colleagues. Maybe these are the guys that are doing this. So this is what we see quite often. Now, what is also the next sin that is actually quite important related to that, it's the peeping room. And situation when users don't lock their desktops. And again, quite an obvious thing, but people are not aware what they are protecting. They're not aware that someone can come in and perform something, yes? Now, of course, it depends on who user is. Is user privileged or not? This is what I would like to start with and show you a little demonstration related with this. But one of the stories that comes over here, it was a pen test that I was doing in US. There was this nice guy that he was like, okay, so let's have a seat. Before the pen test, we're going to discuss how the infrastructure looks like, what's the scope, and that's kind of blah, blah at the beginning of the project. Perfect. So we were sitting, and he was like sitting next by me. And after 2 hours of discussion, he was like, oh, well, I want to get some drink. Do you want a coffee or tea? And obviously, I don't want a coffee or tea, because I know one psycho mechanism that comes to this place right now. Yes? He stands up. He leaves the room, and he doesn't lock his desktop. Now, question is why? And that's kind of interesting scenario, because we could guess like, well, obviously his behavior wasn't good. Agree. But when we are in this super close relationship right now, because we're about to work for the next week or two and so on, he doesn't want to hurt me. It's a human thing. So think about it for a while. Like, if you are sitting on the meeting with someone and you are talking about things together, common things to do, you want to do good together, yes? So will I do like Windows L, hey, I'm going to look at desktop in front of your eyes because I'm afraid that you're going to steal my data. And now I'm going to bring my coffee, yes? So this kind of statement, especially in US, where people are a little bit more like open, yes, it's quite clear and quite predictable in such situations. So what I did, I took my tools, I stick in my pen drive, and I performed the memory dump of the local security authority subsystem.exe in order to extract his credentials, and then I'm like, ping, done. This operation takes like 60 seconds maximum, yes? And when he was back, I wasn't even touching his infrastructure. I was already a domain admin for that case because he was logged on as a domain admin account. We could be like, oh my God, this is so boring. We don't do that. Well, seriously and sincerely, statistically, it's horrible sometimes. Like when we see this, even administrators' behaviors, they kind of like violate their own rules, knowing that they are doing this. That's the funniest. Okay, so from the locking desktop perspective, here comes the first demonstration. That demonstration is related with something new, something actually uber new, and that is related with the Kerberos pre-authentication scenario that is a current problem of the infrastructure. I would like to show you this. Basically, the story goes like this. Let me explain first. That's going to be quite techy. So, what's the current unpatched problem right now? And that is the case related with unlocking the desktop. If the user, for example, is logging on, yes, and especially let's put this scenario of the company which says, oh, our users will never log on with passwords. Okay, they're going to log on with smart cards. We care about security, blah, blah, blah. It's even better. So if the user logs on with a smart card, what happens is that if you want to log on to the domain, this is how the protocol works. You are generating the Kerberos pre-authentication request that you sign with your private key, and that request goes to the domain. And based on that request that has been pre-signed with your private key proving that this is you who did that, based on that, you've got the Kerberos ticket in order to authenticate the domain. Okay? So this is how the whole scenario looks like. There is a little bit of a problem, though. That problem is related with the fact that within the protocol, there is no requirement for the checking if you are a possessor of the private key when you submit the request. Yes? Let me rephrase it. There are two stages that are important. They're kind of together, but let me put them aside. One, you got the private key and you make a signature, sign the request. Second, you as a user submit this request in order to get the domain ticket. Okay? So one stage is independent from the other. Yes? So what if I pre-generate myself a lot of types of requests? Can I use them for later? Because, as I said, protocol does not check for the possession of the private key. Answer is yes. And what is the best right now is that you can do it as a regular user.
So you can brute force it.
Can you brute force it? Brute force, it's even too much. We will just generate them. And let's have a look at this, because users can do it anyway. User can log on to the domain. I mean, that's my point. So have the authentication request, so the Kerberos pre-auth, as we call it. So I'm able to generate that in order to get a ticket. So I can have like the pre-request for the future. Anyway, end of talking, let me show you. Now, what am I showing you? It's absolutely new. And this is the version of the tool that you're going to see. Since our company, or team, I should say, cooperates with Benjamin Delpy, the author of Mimikatz, we have our own version of Mimikatz. This is one of the recent releases of the Mimikatz. It's actually in cooperation with us. So we're very proud of that. My point is basically to show you the whole scenario. Now, what am I doing right now? I am here a user. This is Freddy Krueger. This is kind of an account that I'm using sometimes. And basically, if I want to, for example, start the console as an administrator, well, as you see, I'm being asked for the password. That kind of proves that I'm not the administrator, I hope. Yes, we could do who am I / by the list of the privileges and many, many different options. Anyway, so PKI, the mustiness tool, yes, that's the one that allows us to pre-generate these requests. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Okay, so we've got these requests right now out there, and what I will do, I will use them for authentication in the moment from the client perspective. So user brings on his own laptop, like absolutely not connected to the domain and so on. And user, let's say it's fired. That's why not, yes? So someone comes in, it's like, give me your smart card. Goodbye. It was nice to work with you, and so on. And now question is, can users still authenticate without a smart card within the company, even like without knowing his password? Yes, that's my point. So let's see. What I'm going to do over here is that I will copy those, at that stage, those requests into the personal user's machine. So let's do that. I will do it just a second because I need to get into the place. User could do it by himself. That could work out too. This is my Freddy, and I will just copy the whole stuff that I've got. Let me bring this up to the field. And then in the moment, you're going to see all those requests on the client box where the user will be able to apply them to his needs. So I got my stuff. These are the tickets that we are talking about. Let me alert them a little bit. Yeah, so these are the ones, they are generated. Right now, this is my current time on a server. And effectively, I will copy them to the client. So this is my machine over here. And I will submit the requests over there. Yeah, so Control X, and I'm going to put them on the client. Of course, client can do it by himself. There are plenty of options we could work on. This is our clients that we're going to be working with in a moment. Very good. And I'm going to put the whole stuff into that particular box. Yes, so that's going to be the scenario. I'm copying them right now. Lovely. Yes, and this is the situation where I copied them. Yeah, so I did it on my side, and these tickets are clearly there. Yeah, so we are able to spot that. This is on the client. Yes. Okay, guys. So long story short, we are almost ready to go. What I would like to show you is, we can do a full screen, why not? First of all, are we able to browse the domain resources? Yes, let's see. So here we go. These are my tickets copied here. So I will do WS 2012 DC and then secure.tech. Am I able to browse that resources? I'm not. Yes, I'm not. As you see, I'm connecting. So this is the setup. Effectively, what I will need to do is to submit that particular ticket. So hopefully everything will be good for us. Okay, this is great. So, well, I'm still trying to get access to, but I can't. In a moment, I'm going to see the information that I'm not able to move forward. I will use this particular time. Yes, this is a good thing. Control C. And I will submit it as one of the pre-requests over here. And .musty. Yeah, as you see. So this is the answer. Of course. Let me see. What does it say? Missing the user argument. Interesting. Let me see. TGT, this is good. F. Kruger. Let me check what's the issue. It's a kind of like a new thing to show. So I will need to verify what's the case. Aha, I think I know. We need to just apply the ticket, PTT. That's better. Yeah, what's that? Missing the user argument? No, ask TGT, and then as rec, and then we put the our ticket. Must be there. I'll just need to verify, but I'm pretty sure it's all good. Okay, this is a little bit better. So we're waiting for the ticket to be applied. we can compare, of course, the timing, so the current time and authenticator time and so on. Let's do it one more time. Eventually, we will just take another ticket, or we will need to wait for the moment. But let's verify. Hopefully, everything is going to be OK in a moment. WS12 DC secure.tech. It's still not there. We are still not there. Let's see. What does it say? No. Oh, interesting. Interesting. It looks like the ticket it's not working for now. Yeah, let me have a look at that. Yes, because it's supposed to be all good. As rec, TGT, this is fine. PTT to submit the ticket. Eventually, we could use just another ticket that we got. Okay, I can just use another name for that because let me use this one maybe. I believe you may not have any suggestions here because it's a new thing. Okay, let's see. In the worst case, I will be back to this, yes? But what's the point of that is that we will be submitting over here the certain requests where we will be able to authenticate with that particular ticket. It kind of like doesn't really answer here because we'll be the main server. This is good. It looks like yeah, it's kind of strange. It looks like it doesn't really accept this particular ticket. And I do have communication with the domain. Let me be back to this. I'll restart, yes, this machine just in case. And I think it's a good idea to do that over here. Yes, unauthenticated network. I think that might be the reason. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yes. Quick troubleshooting then. Quick troubleshooting. ncpa.cpl. Apparently, in the meantime, I have lost the communication. ncpa.cpl. And let's see. Okay, that could be a reason. Well, DNS is quite important for the Kerberos at the end. So this is the situation that we are dealing with. Let's see. Let me use directly this guy because that could be the reason here. I think it will help. Yes, I think it will help. Okay, good. So disable. Let's re-authenticate to our network over here. Very good. And identifying. Yes, that could help. That could help. Okay, and let's go back, and we're back on track. This is our ticket that we've got right now. Let's use the fresh one that we were using here. This is the one missing the user argument. This is the one. And what does it say? Okay, the skew minutes. Okay, because this is related with the timing. Yes, so this is the current time. So right now it's a little bit too late. Oh, this is 5 minutes of the Kerberos. Yes, correct. So yeah, at that stage, we will need to get the ticket again eventually, and try to do the same operation again. Yeah, so this is not very cool. We could also move back in time. This is another option. But I can also generate these tickets one more time and copy them one more. I really want you guys to see that because this is a very exciting demonstration. Okay, very good. So let's try. I think we are back on track at that scenario, and we will copy the tickets back from our client in this case, and we will be able to move forward. Yes. Okay. And the reason why I want you to see this is because it's really a problem that you need to know about. Okay, very good. So I got my tickets right now. I'm copying them into 10, 10, 10 to 50, so my client, into Kiwi Secure Editions one more time, Punk. So we've got them on the client side, copied. So they are the new ones that we got over here. Okay, and let's try for the last time. Hopefully everything's going to be okay. So we're going to take this, and we're going to supply the new type of a ticket. Very good. And let's do paste. PTT, and what does it say? Oh, Musti. Okay, thank you. Now you're following. Very good. Okay. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So now question is, will we have access? Yes. So WS 2012 DC, and we can do secure.tech. And this is still the case. Let's see. So we've got a current time, an authenticator time. We can try to submit it one more time. It should be all fine. Let's see. WS 2012 secure.tech. We are still getting there. Let's see, because right now we should be able to authenticate actually. Okay, let me get back to this a little bit later. I will try to fix it on my side because it should be already working fine. Yes, WS12 DC secure.tech. Let's take it to tools. Eventually, right now we are being asked for the authentication. Okay, so well, didn't work out as I expected. As I said, we're going to be back to this, but effectively what happens is that user at that stage will be able to get access smoothly to that particular domain, yes? Especially because the time that I'm using right now, it's exactly the same, yes? So successfully submitted ticket, but it's a current time that we got, which is fine, authenticator time, so we are still within this 5-minute frame. But apparently, that particular ticket, it's not taken into consideration. I will need to check, yes, because it's a kind of moody scenario. Anyway, what's the point? The point is that we are supposed to, at that stage, authenticate with the ticket, yes? So I will be back to this one. This is actually a problem that is quite big within the industry right now, because every single user can pre-generate authentication requests for the user, for himself, in order to authenticate later. Yeah, so this is the setup. Okay, guys, let's move forward. The second thing, or the sin number 3, it's the USB stick-up. And that is the situation where we do not control, really, our USB sticks within the enterprise. And I got something like this. Yes, this is a regular USB stick. From the statistics perspective, 90% of people will pick it up and plug it in if there will be a company logo into it, yes, on it. So this is kind of a sad thing, especially when we take into consideration that there is no logo. 60% of people will do the same and will execute the code, especially when we've got over here like employee salaries or something like that. Now, question is, how does it work? Well, it worked very nicely, because I will stick it in right now. Let's do it. And what this is, it's not indeed a USB stick, but it is a keyboard, yes? It is a keyboard, and it is called a rubber ducky. What is a cool scenario is that when this particular rubber ducky works, yes, so question is, now it's perfect. What it will do, my hands are here, this is the real situation, yes? So it starts to type in and introduce the characters within the computer. Yes? So I can right now, if I'm the administrator, I can run things as an administrator. If I am not an administrator, I can download probably some things from the internet and so on. So this is the situation. Now the problem with that, and I can play with the BitLocker and so on. The problem with that is that this particular USB stick, it is recognized by the operating system as a keyboard itself. So what we see that is not happening is that there is no control at all from the USB stick perspective and from the device identifier's perspective. In the group policy settings, we've got an option to configure that only these keyboards, only these mices, and so on, should be able to run. Yes, and effectively, we just allow everything. We can block the storage, we can block the USB sticks, absolutely, but this is a keyboard. That's my point. You can buy it for like $40 in the internet right now. It's called Rubber Ducky. Yeah? So you can put all the different scripts out there and they will execute like a charm. Okay, whenever we move further, another thing to have a look at, it's something that we call a fish biting. So fish biting meaning phishing, yes, and all the situations where the people are getting affected by different types of ransomware, yes. A little bit of a scenario comes to place. Basically, one of our customers, and I'm pretty sure you know a lot of cases like this, they were affected by ransomware. What does it mean? Well, it means, long story short, is that, let me take this out, when they were affected by the ransomware, then, well, their disks were encrypted, and the story is that at one of our customers, there was a lady, and her name is Veronique. And I know her very well because she is fantastic from the socialization perspective. She knows literally everybody in the company, and she knows all the gossips, who with who, and that kind of stuff. She's like super alive person. And what she got is an email like you see right now on the screen. Yeah, so, hey, someone just left you the message on the Dropbox, the voice message on the Dropbox. Obviously, this is the way how everybody communicates, yes? And she's the person that she's like on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever you can imagine. So when she saw that, she was like, oh, great, someone left me a voice message, yes? So I'm able to move forward with listening to it, yes? But apparently her data got encrypted, and because she was working in a finance place, all the people's data was also encrypted because Veronique was responsible for managing documents for these people, yes? So quite a painful situation. Now, question is, of course, how should we act? Well, basically, regular users should have the possibility to forward email that they're not sure about into an IT department. So there should be a separate, like, alias, an email that when I'm not sure if it's a good email or not, I do forward, and then I move forward with the analysis. And IT guys are able to analyze and tell me if this is a good email or not. I'm a fan of reading emails, actually, like this. So the phishing emails are quite interesting because it's a good technique for IT guys, anyway, to become familiar with all the current practices used by companies. But the email that you see on the screen right now was something that actually surprised me. And this is an email that I've got after renting a car from Avis. And now here comes the question, what do you think? Is this a phishing or not? I can enlarge it a little bit.
I think 99% just clicks it.
Yeah, that's my point, exactly. Because it kind of looks good. Yeah? So this was the case. Now, of course, we could ask ourselves a question, what's Avis Budget? Well, they're like kind of together always at the stand. Maybe it's a kind of like a group. I don't have to know that. Well, but I really rented a car from Avis. Yeah, so that looks weird to me already. I'm a horrible pedant, and whoever works with me, these people know, I always see double spacing. Yes? I always see all these kind of issues like the P that is kind of from outer space. This font is not fitting here, yes? And obviously the font is different as well, yes? So this font and so on, it's a little bit different. So technically, if someone takes care about the customer, like especially in Avis, which is a corporation, yes, I would appreciate no typos. And when I see typos, I'm like, that is already dodgy, yes? So besides, this email has been sent to me by someone who has a position of the Joint Resolution Specialist. I would love to hear what kind of like position is this. Apparently, it must be interesting in the Netherlands. Like what this guy does, he resolves joints or something. I don't know. Yes, so that was very strange. And when I look at the logo is kind of blurred. It doesn't look good from the quality perspective. That's not what I want to see. Indeed. This was actually a phishing email because what I did later, I took this particular PDF and I analyzed it from the perspective of the JavaScript. And there was a JavaScript on board, which is quite easy to spot. Now, question is there a way how we are able to analyze it? Absolutely, yes. There is a toolkit called Didier Yes, this is the guy, actually, and he has certain types of tools available. And one of the tools that he has, it's called PDF parser. And PDF parser is quite nice because you are able over here to find and specify particular files. So PDF parser has gazillions of details, actually, we could use. It's a lot of analysis that we could proceed with. But let me move forward. And PDF parser allows us to analyze chosen file, and we can do search. So that's search, point search, equals JavaScript, yes? Java. And then when we see something like this, that means it already stinks. Yes, because when the JavaScript is out there, there's absolutely no reason why someone should put the JavaScript into the PDF. So when I saw that, I was like, thank you. I absolutely don't trust this because technically it's supposed to be a regular PDF. Plus, what is very also important from the people perspective is to have a look at the context. And the context is also good because here we can see something that says, please find an attached requested rental receipt. And because I'm quite a picky person on what is written in an email, word by word, I'm saying to myself, well, that's actually good, but I didn't request anything. Yes, I didn't say, hey guys, send me the request when I was leaving. I didn't set anything like that. Yeah, so maybe it's an automated email, but apparently it wasn't. But when I called Avis at the very end, and I said, okay guys, apparently you've got some insider, yes, because when I was dropping my car, then I got this kind of information, and that's not cool. And they were like, oh, so you don't want to rent the car? I'm like, no, I want to tell you that you've got a problem, yes? But obviously that kind of messages, they never move on well. Okay, so this is the case. Of course, whenever we're thinking about the further steps, what would happen if I opened it? Yes, there might be many situations. If we are a user, then maybe our data will be encrypted. Maybe our data will be stolen. Yes, maybe, for example, there will be something happening within the user's profile's data to which user actually has access to. Or if I'm a local administrator, there is much more things that could happen. And this is also something that we're going to be talking about within the last session, yes? Where I will be talking about the attacks of the industry, and we will find out what could be the next stage. One of the major stages, and actually also statistically within the 98% of the attacks, when we are in a position to do it, the credentials will be grabbed. Now, what are we talking about? Well, obviously, at that stage, we're talking about the situation where the credentials are within the memory and where we are able to extract them. So this is the Mimikatz case, and Mimikatz is a very popular tool, especially what I would like to show you, it's this new Mimikatz, which is secure edition, it's our edition. This is the version of Mimikatz that is absolutely not recognized by antivirus. So if you're wondering, will there be something to stop it? Answer is no, since we are not, for example, implementing code execution prevention. So user cannot help it. We can help it, yes? And of course, at that stage, when we just run a privilege debug, in order to get a debug privilege that is necessary to interact with the local security authority subsystem, then the next stage is to go to secure LSA logon passwords and of course extract credentials of the certain user that was logged on this box, yes? And if this was, for example, a domain admin logging on any other privileged person logging on, then obviously we're able to take it and then continue within the attack, depending on who this person was. Okay, question is, does it also work with the credential guard? No, this is the mitigation that we have right now. But the problem with the credential guard is that within the credential guard, in order to implement it, there is plenty of requirements on board. Yes. So these requirements, let me bring it out. These requirements are kind of interesting because one of the things that you need to have is a secure boot. Yes, TPM, of course, your machine must be in the domain, but let's say it's all good. You need to also have Windows 10 Enterprise Edition, yes, Secure boot must be on, as I mentioned, in UEFI/BIOS. So these are the requirements for the credential guard. So answer is no, currently it will not work within the credential guard, but we're working on it. Yes? Let's see what's going to be the result at the end, yes? But you're absolutely right, yes? When we play with the credential guard, what you're going to see is actually, let me show you, here we go, this is like the situation with the credential guard. Yes, so just to answer your question, in the practice, we've got over here the same type of a result. Yes, and basically, what do we see? Let me get into the place where we can find the user data. Here we go. So within the credential guard, yes, we don't see any username and password and eventually hashes unless it's a local account. For local accounts, it works exactly the same as we saw before. So local accounts still need to be mitigated in order to prevent it, because there are two types of attacks on the domain level and on the local level, but within such approach, credential guard will help us, but only within the domain accounts, yes? So for the local accounts, we've got LAPS, local admin password solution, yes? Okay, guys, so moving forward, yes, we've got things like reckless abandon, and technically taking machines, losing them, losing phones, and this is the situation here, not really destroying appropriately the hard drives. So from the user's perspective, users need to feel super comfortable whenever they are losing the device. You need to feel super comfortable when people are losing the device, because it happens all the time, so that when your device is gone, you are like, well, at least we lost the device, that's fine, but we don't have an access, or someone doesn't have an access to our data, so that's not too bad. And that is only to be done with the possibility of the remote wipe and the possibility, of course, of encrypting devices using solutions like BitLocker, etc., yes, in order to prevent getting access to the particular drive. What about the other things? So things like hooking up with another Wi-Fi, yes? So whenever people are connecting to Wi-Fi, or especially users, they have no idea what kind of Wi-Fi we are connecting to. Is it safe or not? I can call my access point a Starbucks, that's not a problem with this. And users will be connecting, and then particular access point will be serving as a sniffing, so man-in-the-middle attack. That is pretty interesting. Especially because people are not able to identify what kind of network we are connecting to. What needs to be implemented, it's a safety for people, and I see that this is happening in the organization when people are traveling, when they are in a hotel, they have no idea, how could they? They have no idea if the network that they are connected in is safe or not. I'm doing the sniffing when I'm on the airport, I'm doing the sniffing when I'm in a hotel, absolutely, yes, just to find out what kind of devices are around, and you can even move further. It's not very legal, yes, but you can even move further and proceed with one of the most popular attacks, which is spoofing, eventually sniffing, and then spoofing of the different types of data that is within the network, yes, which I will be talking about within the last presentation. So what is the case is that people need to have the possibility to use the VPN. And I know that everybody obviously knows the VPNs, but this is very often not implemented within the organization. So for traveling people, there is a certain way to connect. Every single time I'm at the airport, I connect to the VPN, and then I browse the internet. So people need to know. And very often what we see within the companies, they don't. And performing different types of network changes on the fly is an absolutely easy attack, and as I said, I will be showing this today at the end of the day, yesterday. Okay, so here we go. Last thing, which is a little bit too social, and that is related with the situation where people are on Facebook, for example. Someone really writes them a message, hey, I've been like following you for a certain time, would you like to connect or something? So this is the situation we are talking about. One of the things and one of the situations we had within one of the social engineering tests is that we were becoming familiar with people. We were actually becoming friends with them. Yes, if I see the same person working in a building for the next 5 days, maybe one day I can have a lunch with this guy. I mean, who knows, yes? And then we are becoming friends. And then he invites me for dinner. And then he invites me for his birthday party, whatever. But I'm the person not to trust. So we should be a little bit more careful who we are talking to, because within the current times, and especially taking into consideration a big need for money, there's a different kinds of motives out there for being your friends. Yes, and this is what we see, and there's a lot of people that we don't know that are like trying to connect with us and so on. So this is what our users should be careful, especially when we are talking about the situation where user is like working normally, and he's like, hey, just borrow my laptop for the moment, do your thing or something. These are the situations that people should not perform because their identity can be stolen. This is one of the things with the smart cards that I was trying to show you, yes? So that whenever we are regular users, we are still able to steal someone's identity. Okay, so when we are moving further with the whole setup, question at the end, it's why human factor is so important. Well, it is obviously important because people still affect and have access to data, yes? People are still the ones that are working with the computers. People are still the ones that can take this file and, for example, attach it within an email and send it out. But at the end, technology can be configured in a way so that we are able to prevent people from doing that kind of stuff. Question is, of course, at the end about the comfort, yes? Will they feel super comfortable when they are blocked from every kind of situation, every kind of direction, yes? Not necessarily, yes? So there is a little bit of a trust that we need to put, but at the same time, if we have in place all the different solutions like antivirus, code execution prevention, different types of firewalls being configured, this is something that we should be getting to. From the firewalls perspective, what is pretty interesting, and even though it sounds obvious, from out of the hundreds customers that we have, we only know 2 that have implemented the rules of the firewalls that allow only certain executables on the machines, on the boxes, to communicate. This is quite easy to check. It's enough that you run, for example, procmon, yes, and then you see what kind of data tries to communicate. It's enough that you run sysmon, yes, and then you're going to see, of course, what kind of stuff is communicating out there. Within the sysmon, it's very convenient because you are able to extract information from the log file and then verify, these executables to these IP address, bring it on, yes? And then you are able to see which ones you should allow, which one you shouldn't, yes? There are different types of software available out there that can tell you and put it on a big picture from the whole enterprise perspective, which kind of and what kind of solutions should be allowed to communicate or not. You spot the ones that are kind of dodgy, yes? Sysmon particularly, what is great about that is because it's free, yes? This is from sysinternals.com. Even though we are allowing people to move on and to communicate within other people by using Outlook and using different browsers and so on, different applications, then things like ransomware, which is usually in a form of an executable, will not be able to connect to the control server to get the public key to encrypt your data. Yes, only 2 customers out of that. What is also quite interesting is that when we work on the different approach from the network perspective, I got over here then extract from sysmon. And extract from sysmon, let me bring this out to you. It looks like this. Yes. So it is a pretty cool setup. Here we go. I'm coming out. Yes, and this is the situation where we've got our destination IP address. Yes, and when we've got a certain types of executables, and this file is fully parsable. And that is pretty nice to see, nice to know. You are able to work on that on the level of the whole enterprise. When we put it up into, let me show you, the Excel spreadsheet, for example, yes, then it looks something like this. And on the top of the whole enterprise, we are able to spot different types of executables that we are using. Yeah? So as we can spot who was actually running them, and also what were the destination IP addresses that we were playing with. Yes. So this is something that you can analyze later and specify. Well, what kind of traffic do we have over here to play with? What is also very good is that there is as well the possibility to use the same or use these IP addresses and analyze them in a very easy way, not by using GraphDNS, but by using, for example, here we go, the tool from Nearsoft, IPNet Info. Yes, IPNet Info. And whenever we are thinking about how it works, that is actually quite a nice thing, because we can take, and I'm going to actually take over here and add a bunch of IP addresses. One of them I'm going to add on the top. It's something external that I've got, because the events that I've got are internal. So I can take, of course, all this data over here. So this whole column, okay. I can take it from on the enterprise level, and then I'm able to put it on and get information about all the different IP addresses that I've been ever connecting to. And this was the one that was public on the top, and I can see over here that this was this particular IP address, and was, for example, coming from Microsoft. I'm able to analyze it further, and I'm able to see, of course, who is the owner of this particular IP address and so on. Yeah? So on the top of the enterprise level, there's going to be a lot more, but then you at least see what are the different types of IP addresses people are communicating with, and at the end, that's what's important. Bringing it further, why human factor is so important? Because reality, it's sometimes different than feeling. In security, there is one sentence that is very important. If it does not smell right, it's probably not right. Yes? So if the user is like, okay, I kind of don't know, then it's already not right. And people need to be aware of that there's only a 1-0 situation in security. You got hacked or you don't. Yes? There is nothing in between. So when they don't feel comfortable about something, they should have a support in you to be able to contact you so that you can help them to evaluate if things are okay. What is positive is that not every attacker is obviously so smart. Sometimes we've got these emails like, hi, I'm the Princess of Saudi Arabia, I would like to send you $1 million. Well, that would be great, but these situations are rather not happening. So, or sometimes we've got emails being written in English that is not right. And we're like, that kind of doesn't sound good. So this is obvious. But you had an example of my phishing email. Yes, this was quite a nice phishing, to be sincere. Still, the culture of an email was quite low because of the fonts and typos. But on the other hand, that was quite hard to spot. Do we expect, for example, the package sent by UPS? Yes or no? Well, it's always nice to get a surprise package, but maybe it's just a phishing email. So not everybody is that smart. They don't know your context. That's my point. And people or employees need to be aware that in security, it's absolutely crucial to know the context you are in and refer later on to that. Technology, absolutely, but humans at the end. So there are plenty of situations we know where the humans were causing problems. They may not necessarily be related with the computer security. They might be related with physical security. So we are talking here about social engineering. So question is, can someone enter your companies just like that and do a mess? Yes, let's don't forget that we don't need to be an admin. It's enough to get in and steal data, and that every user can do. So it would be fantastic if you have analyzed that, yes, because these situations are not uncommon, and we've got plenty of examples when that kind of attack happened. That's why the customers called us, and they were like, we've got a threat, we've got a situation. You guys need to come over and verify where on our servers or eventually workstations there might be, we don't know, something malicious running. Yeah, so this is something that we should always reconsider. And at the very end, just to summarize, why hacker succeeds, why hacker's perspective is so important, and why hacker succeeds. And I can tell you this, that within the pen test, what we very often see is not really vulnerabilities, because that's, okay, what if everything is up to date? Then we are not really vulnerable, that's my point. But we think that the biggest vulnerability out there now, it's not really a vulnerability from the software updates perspective, it's a vulnerability from the configuration perspective. Yes? The biggest vulnerability is the misconfiguration, because this you cannot have scanned with Nessus, yes, or whatever that is automated out there. Yes, this kind of dependencies in between systems, they're not coming up within the reports. That's why what is absolutely necessary is to perform the configuration reviews by yourself by someone else, by internal team, to verify if whatever you did is according to the good practices, because this is something that is quite often within the pen test overused. Things like we are in a hurry, we are making shortcuts. I'm the administrator and I'm configuring SQL Server, and when I do an installation, I'm like, next, 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 and effectively I choose an account that is too privileged. Okay, that's fine, it could be local system as one of the defaults. And on the other hand, there is this application that appears to be vulnerable, but that's not my problem anymore, because it's a problem of the developers. So we've got a pretty huge gap to be covered there. So every single step, every single move we do, it needs to be all thought through, and maybe sometimes we have to slow down because that result we see within the pen test later. And at the very end, sometimes we tend to ignore things. Quite often I see the situations where when I do the pen test and I get inside, and I'm like, hey guys, there's the problem over there. This was misconfigured. What do I hear? Oh, I know. Yes? Like, if you know, you know, you know, then why you are leaving this? Yes? And they're like, oh, yeah, we plan to change it. Well, great, when? Yes? So these are the situations that we see. So summarizing what I was saying is that at the very end, it is very important to take care about the awareness of the employees, because if we are not completely secure, if our IT isn't brought to the idyllic level, where the people is not the weakest link of the whole security chain, we still need to rely on them a little bit, and they are the ones that can bring danger to the field, and maybe it's enough to put a little bit of a training out there and an awareness session so that they know what they protect, and they feel that IT security is super important, as I believe you think, guys. Yeah, so this is the summary for today, and hopefully you will enjoy the conference, and I would like to invite you also to my sessions to come, because they will be super techy, and we will do a smart card case, because I cannot survive that. Anyway, thank you.